All right, it looks like the last recording got cut off, so I'm going to pick back up with this extra practice problem on this slide. So the problem said, Luke's hobby is raising tropical fish. His adult guppies just had babies. There were so many babies that Luke gave 54 of them to his friends. Now Luke has 28 baby guppies. How many baby guppies did he have to start with? So the first step is to read and make a picture in your mind. So the picture I have in my mind is of this little boy who's got a big fish tank full of beautiful tropical fish. And I'm seeing a bunch of little baby guppies, and there's so many of them that he ends up having to give some to his friends. And I'm picturing him giving away those 54 little guppies in plastic bags with water in them, just kind of like how it looks in Finding Nemo. And then finally, the last picture in my mind is of Luke with less baby guppies in his tank. The picture you made in your mind might look a little bit different, and that's okay. But the first step is to visualize. Now we have to start thinking about how we can write a situation equation to match this word problem. So let's think about what we know. We know that Luke gave 54 of those guppies away to his friends. So that makes me think that the amount of baby guppies he has is getting smaller. We also know that Luke has 28 baby guppies now. To figure out the thing we don't know, or the unknown, we're going to take a look at the question. Remember, you can find the question by looking for the question mark and that first word, that first question word, which in this case is how. So here we're thinking about, how many baby guppies did he start out with? I'm going to look back at the beginning of the problem and see if it gives me any clues about how many baby guppies Luke started with. At the start of the problem, all it says is that the adult guppies have babies and that there was a lot of them, so many that he had to give some away. So we don't know the amount of baby guppies that he had at first. So that's going to be our unknown. Now it's time to write out our situation equation to match the word problem. We know that Luke starts with some amount of baby guppies, but we don't know how many that is. We also know that he gives away 54 of them to his friends, and he's left with 28 baby guppies. So he's left with a smaller amount than what he started with. That's going to be really important to think about when it's time to solve. Our next step is to reread the word problem and make sure our situation equation matches. Let's reread. We know that Luke likes to raise tropical fish, and his adult guppies have babies, and there are a lot of them, but we don't know how many that is. We know that he gave away 54 of them to his friends, and now he has 28 baby guppies. So our situation equation matches what's happening in the word problem. Before we start to solve, we have to make a plan of how we're going to solve. We can do that by thinking about our solution equation. When I take a look at this equation I just wrote, something minus 54 equals 28, I can turn that into a math mountain to help me solve the problem. I know that the amount that Luke started with is going to be the biggest number because it's the first number in this subtraction equation. So at the top of my mountain is that amount of guppies that I don't know, because the biggest amount of guppies was at the start of the problem before Luke starts to give baby guppies away. My partners are going to be the 54 guppies that he gave away and the 28 guppies that he had left. So the way I would solve this problem, the plan I would make, is to add the partners together to find the total amount of guppies that Luke had at the beginning of the word problem. If you didn't make a plan to solve and you just subtracted the numbers, you might end up with a smaller number of baby guppies to start with. And we know that wouldn't make sense to start with a smaller number and give away a bigger number. That just wouldn't make sense, and mathematically, that wouldn't work for us. So we have to make sure that we are making a plan to solve that makes sense. So remember, as you solve today, you're thinking about those 5 steps and taking your time to make a plan before you solve. You might even want to get out some different colored pens or colored pencils or even markers to mark up the word problems in your independent work today, just like I did here. Color coding it may help you see how your situation equation matches what's happening in the problem. You can also solve using pencil, but I want to see that you are taking your time to make a plan before you start to solve. I can't wait to see all your hard work and your situation equations that match the word problems. Good luck.